Okay, hello, welcome you guys. We are going to talk about emotions, and I feel like this is such a timely topic. And from the amount of interest that I had in this class, I know that so many of you are feeling this, that we're under so much attack on our emotions every single day. We've never had to deal with anything like we've had to deal with in the past year, and it's just been really challenging. So, I've got lots of ideas for you guys on just how we can use oils to help with emotions. And if you've ever been to any of my classes before, you know it's not just about oils, it's also about how we care for ourselves day in and day out, the habits that we choose to do, the food that we choose to eat. So, we're going to get into all of this. So let me get this into presentation view. My camera photo thing is always right in the way when I try to share this. Okay, present. Here we go. This will look prettier. So again, emotional aromatherapy, how essential oils can support a healthy life. So before we go any farther, I really want to focus on that word support. So that brings up the question, if oils support a happy life, what's the foundation of a happy life? Because just like when we take supplements that supplement the food that we eat that make our bodies function better, oils kind of act in the same way. We have these things that we feed our body with emotionally, and if we're skipping over those, then the oils aren't going to do as good of a job. They can still help, absolutely. You can still sniff some peppermint, sniff some wild orange, and you'll feel this burst of endorphins and burst of like a more positive mood. But there's things that you can do that go deeper than that. So let's start with the foundation. And I feel like the foundation of the foundation is helping others. When we serve others, when we give to others, give our time, give our money, give our whatever it is, it can really make us feel like we're contributing, like we're making a difference in the world. And at the end of the day, that's what can really help us feel positive and feel like we're serving and like we're helping. If we aren't doing this, or if we're just in this where a lot of us have kids that are watching this, so if we just feel like we're just being the servant of our family and we're not, I mean, there's times where that can have its place, but I want us to think bigger than that. Think about, how can we help others? How can we really contribute to the world in a positive way? And then gratitude is huge. There's been so much talk of gratitude over the last couple years. There's people who like to write down 3 things they're grateful for every single day. And I say, absolutely, that is a beautiful thing to do, but it doesn't have to be that structured. It can just be in those moments where things are feeling really good, just sitting back and soaking it up, looking around and thinking about what you're grateful for in your life. I mean, you can even do this like right now where you are, just thinking through like 1 to 3 good things that happened today. Because even in the midst of trials, even in the midst of struggles and these challenging times that we're in, there's still so much beauty. I know for us around here, we've loved how we've been able to circle in as a family and just have a lot more family time and slow things down, even though things are kind of crazy outside our walls. So gratitude is helpful. Creative outlets, whatever this looks like for you. I know that some people love to paint and draw and create that way. That's not my thing. I've tried, and it's just, I feel like I need to practice more, but I don't enjoy the practice. So I find my creative outlets in writing, in planting plants. Some people love like home decorating, things like that. Just whatever it is for you, even if it's just like moving the furniture around in your home, it can really just make you feel more positive and make you feel like you're coming to your life in a different way. And moving your body. So when we aren't moving our body, we can get energy that's stuck in different places. And I know you've felt this. I know that you've been on a walk before, or been to a yoga class, or done something to move your body in a way that really helps to move that energy through. And it can really help you feel a lot better. And all of these things are probably not new to you. This is something that is, I didn't make these up. We all know these things. So if that's running through your head, I want you to think, are you actually doing them? Are you doing these things day in and day out, week in and week out? It doesn't have to be every single day that you go through this whole list, but just, are you in general practicing these things? Because it's not about head knowledge, it's about what you put into action in your life. So moving your body, super important. Connection with God, having some sort of spiritual practice to that which is bigger than us, is really helpful, because it helps to put us in our place as people who are just, we're not masters of the universe. We can't control everything. Just we can remember that we can control a lot. And I do want us to all step up with our own level of personal responsibility in our lives. That's what using oils, that's what natural health is all about. Taking responsibility for what we can, and then also surrendering to the fact that there is a bigger plan in our life and there is something greater at work. Prayer and meditation go hand in hand, and you can tie oils into this. So the oils I like to use for this are frankincense and peppermint. I've been waking up early before my family gets up and really just trying to slow my mind, focus on the spiritual, focus on just creating the mood that I want in my home for the day. And I find that peppermint and frankincense are beautiful for that, because peppermint is so energizing. It helps wake me up, along with my coffee, that helps too. And then frankincense can just help us to just get rid of the anxiousness that we can feel, get rid of any sort of just lack of connection that we're feeling. It's just an oil that amplifies whatever oil we're using it with. So if you're using it with peppermint, you're going to feel the effects of peppermint even more. So if you don't like peppermint, you could use it with wild orange. You could use it with sandalwood. There's so many oils that frankincense complements beautifully. And then next on the list is fulfilling work. Again, this is so foundational. I hope you guys have never had the experience of being in a job that just drains you and that you hate, but I know I have. There's been times, and this, like, thinking back, it wasn't one particular job that I had. It was a time in my life where I was working like 3 jobs, and actually 3 of those 3 were with small children, and it was before I had kids. I worked in a daycare, I taught gymnastics, and I was also a nanny all at the same time, and it was just too much in general. And I just felt drained in every area of my life. I remember just driving to my job teaching gymnastics that on its own I really enjoyed, but add in all the other things I was doing, and like I said, it was just too much. And I just remember just feeling like it had to end, like I could not go on this way. And so I made a change. And I know it's not always that easy. This was back when I was 21 years old and I didn't have dependents, people who were looking to me for food and housing, and I could just change jobs and not really worry about it so much. But if you're in a place right now that you're really not feeling like your job is serving you and it's not really helping you day in and day out to have a positive outlook, then think through, like, 1 month from now, 5 years from now, like, where do you want to be, and start taking steps towards that. And I have to give a little plug to doTERRA right now, to sharing oils and earning income with oils, because it is so fulfilling to see people get the results. I mean, every person on this call, I know you've got awesome results from this. So I also know it's not for everyone, and there's never any pressure. There's never anything that I feel like you should do this by any means. But if you are curious, and if you have thought about it, or if you're feeling a little tinge of curiosity now, just reach out to me. I'm not going to say much more about it on this one. That's not what this is about, but this is so incredibly fulfilling, and it can really be a great option if you're feeling like you want something different, or if you just want another income stream. That's super important right now as well. And next on our list is fresh, whole, nourishing, and delicious food. So this can be all of the above, and it might be that you need to make a little bit of like just change in your taste buds. My mind's moving a little slow because some of you might have seen we have a tiny 8-week-old puppy, and the last 2 nights my sleep has been so disrupted just getting up with the puppy. So glad my mind was able to pull it together right then, but that might happen again. So just bear with me as I am really getting ready for bed about now. But fresh, whole, nourishing, and delicious food is so key to helping your mind have a positive outlook. And years ago, when I was first getting curious about natural foods, I read a study, and it said that there was a direct correlation between people that ate processed food and higher levels of depression, like much higher levels of depression. And that really stuck with me, because at the time I was going through a bout of depression myself. I had one pretty major swing of depression in my early 20s, when I was just trying to figure out life, trying to figure out what I'm here for, trying to figure out my place, like so many of us go through at different times during our lives. And I was eating a ton of processed food. Like, I would say probably 90+% processed food. I was eating like boxes of rice and chips and candy bars and hot tamales candy. Like I just was living off of processed food. And so I slowly started to come off of that and have really noticed a difference. So if you're someone who eats more processed food, really consider what it's doing to your mental state, because it can make a huge difference. And when we add in things like just fruits, vegetables, meat that we cook ourselves, or finding really good restaurants that prepare things in a clean, natural way, you'll be amazed at the difference it can make in your mind. And then I'd like for you to consider making a joy list. So a joy list is something that you just take 5 to 10 minutes. You think through your whole life, like think back to childhood, think back to, if you have kids, think back to before you had kids, think back to last year, yesterday, today. What are the things that bring you joy? What is it? Dancing? Is it doing yoga? Is it going on walks through beautiful places, hiking, things like that? Because the more that we can add this stuff in, the better as well. So this is a very, this approach is very much, we want to approach our mood and our emotions from a place of really doing everything we can to help support a positive mood, because there's so much negativity in the world that we just really need to focus on what brings in positivity. So I've mentioned some of mine. Other things I have are cooking, unhurried cooking. I don't like cooking when I've got hungry kids and everyone's staring at me and I feel rushed. Of course, that's not what I mean. It's more like when it's a Sunday afternoon and I'm preparing like a bunch of different foods for the week. I actually really enjoy that because I'm doing something to set myself up in the future. My kids are typically around helping at some level and it's just relaxed. We're not hungry. We're just kind of cooking for enjoyment and cooking for preparation for the week. And I mean, really, one of my favorite things is hiking. I already mentioned that, but just going through beautiful places. And that might not be your thing at all. Your thing might be knitting or just sitting and laughing with your kids, watching fun movies, whatever it is. I really want to encourage you to make these things a very high priority. And maybe you're already doing this. Maybe these things are already intentionally being added into your life very regularly. But if they're not, pay attention to that, because a lot of times when we start to get low mood, when we start to get feeling depressed, feeling the mood swings, it's because we either have too much on our plate, or we're not getting enough rest, or we're not prioritizing the things that bring us joy, the things that we're passionate about, the things that are so easy to get crowded out as we do our adult things that we have to do. We have the things that we have to do, and we can easily leave the other things off the table. So really want to encourage you to create a joy list, and I'm going to have some action steps later, and that's one of them. So start thinking about what could be on your joy list. And then I really also encourage you to have realistic expectations with this. Life in general is meant to be felt. We're meant to feel these emotions. We're meant to feel sadness and grief and anger, and small times of anxiety even can really help us to get the right things done and help us to really move into action. The problem is when these things become overwhelming, when they become too powerful and too strong. But I want you, and you probably already know this, but I just want to recognize that we all will have ups and downs every single day, oftentimes every single hour, especially if we've got a lot on our plate through work, or if we have small children around or a lot of responsibilities. We're going to feel different feelings throughout the day. And the important thing is to feel them, breathe them in, let them go, and really focus on the joy piece, focus on how to bring in the positivity. And then I also want to mention that sometimes we do need some extra help. And if you, I have a therapist friend who actually uses oils. She's awesome. So if you guys are feeling like at the end of this class, like this just wasn't quite enough and you want to know more about her, I'd love to give you her name and number. She's great. So there's always that as well. There's always the option of talking to someone as well, which can really be helpful. And then the very bottom of this slide, I wanted to put this at the very bottom, but we do also want to think through what gets us down, what brings anxiety, what brings sadness, and we want to minimize this. So what's really standing out for me right now, and something that I really have to guard myself against, is waking up. And there's one podcast in particular that I find incredibly interesting, but he's also very doom and gloom. He's very much like, he's just always got something that he feels like is about to happen that's going to destroy our way of life, like things like that. And I have to just I've had to step back from listening to him. I also have to really guard myself against like just checking news sites first thing in the morning, because I kind of got in a habit of that. Like when COVID started and I wanted to know what was going on day in and day out. And I've realized that that is not the way to start my day if I want to be positive and upbeat and actually get things done in a timely manner and get the right things done. So whatever it is for you, just think through what gets you down. Is it time with certain people that aren't vital to your life? Is it certain coworkers that maybe you could just minimize your time with them? Is it certain things around your house that maybe your kids could help doing, that your kids could start help in doing? For me, I've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old that really help around the house. One is in charge of dishes and one is in charge of the kitchen floor. And that's been incredibly helpful because they're very well trained on it by now. We've been doing this for months now. And I just say, Miles, please do the dishes. Cameron, please do the floors. And they know exactly what to do. So just where can you take the things that are really draining you and figure out how to minimize those? So this is different for everyone. So I can't really tell you exactly what to do in your life, but you can think through these answers yourself. And I really encourage you to take some time to do that. So let's get into oils. So we've done the foundation of happiness. Now we're going to add in how oils can supplement a happy life, a joyful life, a life of low anxiety, low stress for the most part, and just keeping our moods as stable as possible. And I want to start by pointing out that there are actually naturally occurring chemical constituents in oils that have been proven to change our mood. So there's so many. I put 3 on here, but there's so many more. I didn't want to turn this into like an in-depth chemistry class, but I did want to mention these 3 that are super helpful. And 3, if you're a person who wonders, okay, this is great, Courtney, oils can alter your mood, but how? How do they do that? I get that a lot. Especially from someone who has been skeptical and then they try oils and they see how well they work. They always come back to me like, how do they work so well? And the answer is in the chemistry, the oil chemistry. So there's this 1,8-cineol that's found in eucalyptus, rosemary, cardamom, tea tree. It's also in basil. It's in a handful of other oils, but this is the oils, the 4 here that I have listed are the ones that are the highest in this specific compound. So this has been proven to help a low mood. So things you can do with these is you can take eucalyptus and put a couple drops in your shower. That can really help to make you feel more excited about the day, more excited about your life in general. It can help you feel relaxed and like I really think of the spa when I think of eucalyptus. I used to go to this place before I had kids and they had eucalyptus going in their steam room and it was fabulous, and it can kind of take me back there. And that's the beauty of scents and the beauty of aromatherapy is it has these chemical compounds, but there's also the association that we have with smells just from our history, from what our grandma used. So my grandma had this like room spray that always smelled like hot apple pie. It smelled amazing. So I'm really drawn to cinnamon essential oil, especially in the wintertime when I used to visit her house and spray her spray. And it just takes me back to warm, cozy times in my grandma's kitchen. So as you use oils, and those of you who have used them for a while, you've probably noticed that there's some smells that can trigger happy memories. There's also oils that can trigger some negative memories for some people. And that's where you would want to either avoid that oil or mix it with something else to make it a little bit different for you. So the other cool thing about this 1,8-cineol is these are all great oils for respiratory support. So they help to open up your airways. They help with just healthy lungs, healthy breathing passages. And that's an example of the side benefits from oils. So a lot of other things that we might use for altering our mood, the mood altering pharmaceuticals and things like that, they're going to have side effects, whereas oils have side benefits. For the most part, you're going to get very positive side benefits from any oil that you use. So next is limonene. Limonene is in every single citrus oil. It's in very high concentrations, especially in grapefruit, tangerine, wild orange, lemon. Slim and Sassy is going to have quite a bit of limonene. So any citrus oil that you use, limonene is found in the rind of citrus. So you could also just kind of use the zest of any citrus fruit yourself. You can put that in salads and smoothies, and that can be another really good way to get limonene. And limonene is something that's helpful to inhale, but it's also helpful to ingest. So putting a drop of citrus oil in your water, like honestly, morning, noon, and night, you can have up to 24 drops of essential oil a day, and that's a pretty good amount. You can go above that, like if you're fighting an illness or something like that for short term, but day in and day out, you really don't want to go over 24 drops, which is actually a lot of oil. Most of us probably don't get near that, even if we drink oil in our water every day. If you're putting 1 to 3 drops in at a time, you can do that multiple times throughout the day. I really am a huge fan of tangerine, grapefruit, lemon. I mean, all the citrus are so delicious in water. And as it gets hotter, you can put some ice in there, some stevia, make it like a lemonade or a limeade, just with your oils. It's super fast, not messy. It's just a great way to kind of support emotional health from the inside out. And then definitely wanted to mention lemongrass and Melissa, and they have something in them called nerol. And these are both really powerful, especially for low mood, especially for depression. And Melissa used to be famous for being our most expensive oil. Now that's been taken over by Rose. And Rose is also a great one for emotions. And those two, Melissa and Rose, are not necessarily where I suggest you start for emotions, but they are oils that you can keep in your back pocket. That if you try some of the other lower price point oils and you just really feel like you need something else, then I would definitely say give Melissa a try. It actually dropped in price a couple years ago. I think it's $135 now for 5 milliliters, which is quite expensive. I'm not going to even pretend that that's not expensive, but $135 to help turn your mood around or your child's mood around. It's definitely something to keep in your back pocket and to remember that is just an oil that's definitely there for you to use. And you can also use points for it. So if you're on the loyalty rewards program, LRP, if you run a monthly order every night, if you run a monthly order every month, then you can save up your points and actually get Melissa for free, or even Rose for free if you save that up. So there's options on how to not even pay for it when you save your points. So these are all, like I mentioned, just a little glimpse into chemistry and why oils work. And if you have an oil book like Advanced Oil Magic, or if you have an app, or even just a search engine, we can search for so many things. Just if this interests you, I recommend digging more into oil chemistry, because it's very interesting. It's definitely not something you have to know, but it can be really interesting if you want to know the why behind how these oils work. So I've already gone through quite a few oils for emotions. My goal was really to keep this simple, because literally every single oil out there has an emotional benefit. So I didn't want to go through every one of those with you. There's some great resources, Advanced Oil Magic. There's a book specifically on oils and emotions, and I recommend getting that one if you really want to dig in. But for tonight, I just want to go through 3 simple ways to start with oils for big emotions. And I'm going to go through how to use these for us personally as adults, and then also how to use them on our kids, because I feel like, at least at my house, I can definitely have some big emotions, but they're nothing compared to what my kids go through. They're figuring out how to self-regulate, how to communicate, how to live in close quarters with siblings that drive them nuts. So I know if you have kids, it's the same in your house. There's really big emotions that come through. So we're going to talk about the Adaptive Collection, the Mood Matrix, and Emotional Aromatherapy Collection. So starting with adaptive, I know a lot of us have tried this and seen really good benefits from it. This one smells really sweet. It's just a very comforting aroma and just helps. I mean, for me, I can feel when I put it on. I just can take a deep breath and kind of start to let things go when I put on adaptive. And this was fairly new. This was been out a couple years now, pieces of it. We've had a few newer releases in this, but it's very calming. And there's 3 different options here. So there's the 15 milliliter undiluted oil, there's the 10 milliliter diluted rollerball touch oil, and then there's the the Calming Blend capsules. And you can use all 3 of these together every single day, multiple times a day if you want, or you can kind of pick and choose. If you don't have all of them, or if you just want to start with one, I'll kind of talk you through each one and you can figure out which one would help you the most right now. So let's start with just the undiluted oil. So this is something you can put in your diffuser. You can mix it with Epsom salts and put it in a bath. You can dilute it and rub it on the bottom of your feet. I like to put this one in my car. I have like a little felt diffuser thing. I also have a car diffuser, but right now I just have the felt thing in there. And then every time the heat goes on, it can really like fill up the car very quickly with whatever aroma you put on there. And so Adaptive is one that I reach for pretty often there. And this one will just help to, what I love about this one is the ability to diffuse it. So the other 2, you can't really diffuse. I mean, I guess you could diffuse a little bit of the touch oil, but there's a lot of coconut oil in there as well, which can kind of gunk up your diffuser. So if you're really going to diffuse it day in and day out, this undiluted one is the way to go. And then the diluted one is just a roller ball. You can put it over pulse points is typically the best place for emotional oils. So wrist, throat, heart, the inside of your ankles can be a good place. Just anywhere where you've got veins, arteries under there that are pumping, that will really help move this stuff through your body. This is one that I love on kids. You can like come up behind them, roll it like on the back of their neck or like down their spine if their shirt isn't tucked in, and just give them a quick massage and just kind of oil ninja them. Just like come in and like give them a little bit of little oiling and then tell them you love them and just see the difference it can make. And again, realistic expectations is not that these are going to turn our children into just like happy robots all the time, but what we're looking for is a more even keel over time. And this has wild orange in it. It's got an oil called sweet gum, just things that are really helpful for stabilizing mood. And then I love the oils. I love the undiluted, the diluted rollerball. But what I really love here is the Calming Blend capsules. These are super helpful if you ever deal with anxiety, if you deal with stress, if you deal with feeling like wired and like you can't calm down enough to focus on what you need to focus on, or if you're feeling unmotivated. These help with alert serenity. So they help wake up your brain and also help your body to feel calm. And they really like the taste that can come out of your digestive system is just really delicious. It's like a lavender. It's a lot of times I'll take these and I'll forget that I took them because I'll start feeling good and then I'll get a little taste of it. And it's just a little gentle reminder of the good I've done for my body. So these are super helpful. Again, you can use one of these, you can use all of these. It's made to be a system. It's made to be something that you use all together. You're diffusing, you're applying topically, you're using internal. But I would say you don't have to do that every single day. If you are someone who is really feeling anxious about what's going on right now and really doesn't want to go on stronger medication, then I would say definitely make this a system that you use, that you're diffusing, you're using topically multiple times a day, and then you're doing the capsules at least 1 to 2 times a day, and kind of see how that does for 30 days and then reevaluate and see what's changed. And this, they actually did a study on this, and hands down, this helped with anxiety. And it really helped right away. And then it continued to help over 30 days. And every single person in the study noticed that their anxiety levels went down over the 30 days. And I think they did 2 of the capsules at least once a day, if not twice. I can't remember the details. I should have looked at that. But if you want to know more, reach out to me and I can point you toward the exact study and tell you the details. But in general, helps with anxiety, which I feel like we all need right now, right? So this next one is the mood matrix. So these are our original 4 emotional oils. These have been around with doTERRA longer than I have. These have been around for close to a decade now. And Serenity, Citrus Bliss, Balance, Elevation. I have a feeling most of us on here have used at least one of these oils and really seen the difference that it can make. So what I love about this mood matrix is we can think through how we're feeling, and then we can match the oil with how we're feeling. So if we're feeling fatigued, we can use I would say more citrus bliss. Serenity can help because it can just kind of calm us down and help us get the right things done and get the rest that we need. But citrus bliss is by far, at least in my opinion, the most energizing out of these. And citrus bliss and spearmint, side note, so good together. Citrus bliss. So citrus bliss and spearmint is so good. And serenity and spearmint, both of those, like in equal amounts, are so good for just really helping the whole house to feel better. Oh, and I forgot to mention kids. Let's back up to adaptive real quick because I forgot to mention kids. Absolutely, kids can benefit from diffusing it. So that's also the benefit of diffusing adaptive. Oh, and I did mention rolling it down their spine, but I didn't mention the calming blend. So in the study they studied kids as young as like at least 12, if not even 9. I'm thinking there was a 9-year-old in the study. I would not hesitate for a second to give these to my 9-year-old. I haven't because he's kind of my kid that struggles the least with anxiety out of all my kids, I would say. I don't know, my 3-year-old's pretty young. I can't really tell with her. But my 12-year-old has had adaptive, and like I said, I wouldn't hesitate to give these to my 9-year-old because they're just so gentle but so beneficial. And with the mood matrix, kids can use every single one of these. And just a little helpful hint, balance is already diluted. So you can take balance and you can just like put that wherever it needs to go. I like to put it on my wrists, and the base of the big toe is actually a really good place to put balance, like on the base of each of your big toes underneath, like on the sole of your foot. And it has an oil, Balance has an oil in it called blue tansy. And I don't know if you guys saw, like a couple years ago, there was this blue tansy challenge going around where we were all being challenged to put blue tansy on the base of our toe. We were all walking around with blue toes on the bottom of our feet. I stained my carpet at times, but it was worth it because I did notice a big difference. And you can do that with balance. So you can do it with blue tansy if you want to, but if you have balance on hand, you have everything you need right there. And I have a friend who keeps balance on her nightstand. It's the first thing she does every single morning. She rolls over, grabs her balance, puts it on her wrist, and then she feels like she can handle her children without flipping out every single day. So however you need to use balance, it's super, super helpful for just keeping you grounded, keeping you in a place where you're more stable with your moods. And elevation, I mentioned Melissa a couple minutes ago and how it used to be known as our most expensive oil before Rose took that over. Well, elevation is, gosh, a fifth of the price. I think it's 37 at wholesale, $37 wholesale. So much less than Melissa is. And it's a bigger bottle. So elevation is a 15 milliliter where Melissa is a 5. And elevation has quite a bit of Melissa in there. It's also extremely powerful. I have, you guys can't see my diffuser in the background at the moment, but I have 1 drop of elevation going. I'm in my office, which is fairly small, and it's plenty. It's very powerful. It's one that I find that if I put as much elevation as I typically do with other oils in my diffuser, it's just too strong and I have to open a window and take a break. So just start small with elevation in the diffuser, but elevation also has osmanthus in it, which is very invigorating and can bring a lot of feelings of joy and feelings of excitement from the oil. And I mentioned citrus bliss, very energizing, smells like a creamsicle. It's citrus, vanilla, smells delicious in my opinion. And I kind of mentioned serenity, but this is our original stress less blend. It's lavender, vanilla, and with cedarwood, vetiver. So it's got earthy tones to it. Can really help you to sleep better, to concentrate better. I love it in the bath, like 4 or 5 drops of serenity with a cup of Epsom salt and a little bit of fractionated coconut oil. So good. If you're going to do a bath with kids, I would do probably just 2 drops of serenity with half a cup of Epsom salts is usually plenty for them. And I know most of you probably are aware of serenity and balance together. And that is such a calming blend that those two together are just really helpful for times where emotions are high and just times like I know a lot of us are dealing with virtual school, with homeschool, being home with our kids a lot more. And I want to just remind you the power of diffusing. And if you've gotten out of the habit, just focus on it for a week and see what you notice when you diffuse day in and day out, and really diffuse in a consistent manner and diffuse in a way that's really intentional. Like you have this intent of the mood that you want to create with the oil, and you can really see it happen. So the emotional aromatherapy oils have been around probably 5 or 6 years now. And what I love about these is they're just so simple. Their name says it all with these. So console is just really helpful for anytime you're feeling sorry for yourself, or having feelings of grief, or having feelings that you just want someone to come give you a big hug. It's very sophisticated, in my opinion. It's got, I think it's, again, I should have looked at these. I believe it has rose in there. I know it's got oils that just really smell. It's got frankincense, patchouli, which I know some people don't love patchouli, but I would say patchouli is not super overpowering in here. I think that blends to like the sophisticatedness. Ylang ylang, amorous, rose, osmanthus is in here as well. So this one's a really good one for anytime I'm just feeling sad, anytime I'm feeling the weight of the world, feeling just kind of hopeless, then console can really come in. And again, it's not magic. It's not like, oh, everything's okay, but it just takes the edge off and helps me to really get into a better mental state where I can remember that I have a joy list. I can remember that I am grateful for my life and things like that. Because we can get in this spiral where everything seems hopeless and we can kind of forget what we do have in front of us. So peace is really helpful for anxiety. I had a really powerful moment driving after I drove home on icy roads and was just completely, if you've ever driven on icy roads, you know, you just get like really worked up and you just feel like this high level of anxiety because you've just been scared for your life. And I got home and I put peace on and I just felt this like warm calm come over me. So that's what it can do for you. And it kind of has a very earthy aroma. It has to grow on some people, but both of my boys love it. They ask for it in their diffuser pretty often, like so much that I actually got them a bottle to keep upstairs that they can just help themselves to whenever they want. They can just put it in their diffuser. And cheer is very citrusy, citrus and spice. So this one's a great one to use. At least here in Colorado, we're having a bit of a warm snap. But when it's like the late winter, freezing cold, snow on the ground days, that's when I really notice the benefits of cheer the most, when you're just so hungry for spring and it's not quite here yet. So remember that if we have a cold snap come, I'm sure we will before spring really comes. But it's also one that a lot of guys like cheer because it's citrusy, but it's not really floral. So any guys in your life, see if they like cheer. To me, it kind of smells like I've baked something. It smells really good. Passion, again, the name kind of says everything, but passion can help you to just energize and get things done that maybe you're not really excited about getting done. Like for me, checking email, that's probably the big one. I really like those emails that I want to get, but there's just so many, I don't know, need to clean out my emails and unsubscribe from people, but it can really help you to get things done when you're not feeling excited about it or when you're just feeling tired or low energy. It's also, we just had Valentine's Day, but it's also really good for date night, for just feelings of love and intimacy between people. It's really helpful for that as well. And forgive smells like spring. This is one that can just help you if you're ever feeling stuck, especially if you're like looping around in your brain on a conversation, on a relationship with someone that didn't go the way you wanted it to, just anytime, or one, I love to pull this out, like on the times where I'm too sharp with my kids, because really they forgive me in a heartbeat, but I have a hard time forgiving myself sometimes when I talk too sharply or just kind of get angry with them. So this one's really helpful for that. And typically all these, I keep this little case right here. So the emotional oils are right here at my fingertips, but these do also come in 5 milliliter bottles that you can diffuse. So forgive is really nice in the diffuser just to keep a calm atmosphere in your home. And then my favorite of these has always been Motivate. I am a sucker for mints and citrus. I just love them. They wake up my mind, wake up my energy, and So that's what Motivate is. It's very similar to wild orange and peppermint, but it's even, I would say all of these are sophisticated. If I had to label these in one word, they're just sophisticated emotional oils, where wild orange and peppermint is great and fun and happy and can really change your mindset instantly. Motivate is just another option that's really has vanilla in it as well, clementine, rosemary, peppermint, coriander, which coriander is one that I feel like is very underutilized that is really helpful for emotions as well. So that's the 6 emotional aromatherapy oils. And just one more interesting fact on these. There was an oncology clinic who did kind of like this wasn't like a double blind placebo study or anything like that. This was more casual than that. But what they did was they diffused each of the blends in their office for a week at a time. They did do a placebo, which was just an empty diffuser. And they noticed that every single one of these helped. And they were studying the workers at the oncology clinic. They weren't studying the patients because they wanted to have more input than that. But the levels of burnout went way down, the levels of anxiety, and forgive was the surprise star of the study. And I remember they said that peace was a little bit unclear because anxiety levels actually briefly went up with that. But that was the same week they implemented a new computer system. So it wasn't really a very fair study with the piece. And it would have been interesting to know how much anxiety levels would have gone up without diffusing peace with the new computer system. So in an office setting, in a home setting, these are all just really beautiful oils that you can use. And I would say, just like all things with oils, we want to be checking in with ourselves little moments throughout the day, and this can become a habit. You might already do this. I know for me, I kind of had to learn this habit because I was just very much into like, don't listen to your body, do the things that need to get done. And I had to learn to slow down and really take inventory and see what my body needs in the moment. So that's what these can do for you. If you're feeling low energy, pull out Motivate. If you're feeling frustrated, pull out Forgive or Cheer or Peace, or really any of them for frustration. Any of them are good. And I feel like I can't teach one of these classes without mentioning lifelong vitality, because these are the foundation of the foundation. So we talked about the habits, gratitude, things like that, that are foundational to healthy emotions. But if we're not feeding our body what it needs day in and day out, then we're not going to have the emotional responsiveness that we want. So for an emotions level in particular, these help with mental clarity, they help with brain function, alertness, positive mood, they enhance learning, they support our muscles, they help us to recover quicker, they help us to sleep better, they help with immune support. So all of these things, like when we're sick, we tend to have not as much of a positive outlook, especially in these days. So these are super helpful. I do recommend everyone try them at one point. There's a money back guarantee on them. You have 30 days to experiment with them. And if you don't like them, if you don't notice a difference, then you can get your money back. So these are something, again, that I help everyone, I encourage everyone to try at some point. So let's get into our actions for this week. I really want these classes to be just very action oriented. So I want you, like I mentioned earlier, to start to create your joy list. And this can be whatever you want it to be. And if you really want more direction here, I would say pick a time, 5-10 minutes, something like that. Set your timer on your phone and just use that whole time to go through like all your memories and think through what brings you joy. And you'll be surprised at what comes up, because a lot of times we forget the small things that made us feel happy as a child that is still in us at some level. And then I want you to think through what you want to use for daily emotional health. So again, maybe you're already using oils for daily emotional health, but I have a feeling since you showed up that there's something else that you want to work on. So out of all the oils we've talked about, definitely I would encourage you to start with an oil that you already have on hand because it's already there. But maybe there's an oil that you want to add to your next order. So think through what that is. And then think through, when are you going to use this? because as usual with oils, being persistent and consistent is the way to go, especially with emotions, especially if you're really wanting to change mood swings or anxiety or low mood. You really want to be consistent with these and really use them every single day, whether it's on you, on your kids, if you want to sneak them on your husband, whoever it is. But think through, is it first thing in the morning? Is it before you go to bed? Do you want to diffuse at breakfast? And maybe there's multiple times during the day, but I would say definitely pick at least one time a day that you're going to commit to really using oils for emotions. And then think through one mental health habit you want to focus on this week. And when will you do this? So this could be gratitude. It could be getting more exercise, getting more movement. It could be getting outside and soaking up the sun. I think we're all Colorado people on tonight. We are. So I hope all of you were able to step outside at least once this afternoon. And I know it's we're in a warm spell across most of the country. So it's just these times when spring starts to sneak in, I feel like we can naturally kind of get a little, at least for me, I get a little bit of extra happiness that we're getting through winter. But when do you want to add your mental health habit in? Because we really want to think through you want to think through your life and think through, when is that going to happen? So I do have a giveaway tonight. Oh, I've got one more thing though, but I'm going to give away some On Guard. And On Guard is kind of a funky emotional oil, I feel like. But again, every oil, every blend has emotional benefits. And On Guard might seem a little off from emotions, but it's the protective blend, and it can protect your immune system, and it can also protect your emotions. So this one is one that you can put on when you're going into like supercharged emotional situations, supercharged times where emotions are high. On Guard can help just to protect your emotions. So I do want to mention the wellness kits briefly. So there's a mind and mood wellness kit. So the way these work is there's 3 months. You don't have to do 3 months. You can just do the first month if you want. But I would say most benefits come from sticking to this for 3 months. And you get this curated collection of oils and products each month. So if you're doing the loyalty program, you can just pick out mind and mood month 1. And then the next month, you don't even have to change it unless there's other things on your order that you want to go in and change. It automatically sends you month 2. And then month 3, it automatically sends you a third collection. Month 3, you want to pay attention to because it will start over. It'll send you month 1 again if you don't go in and change it. But by that time, you very well might be ready for more adaptive and more balance. So each of these has at least one thing in them that you can't buy on their own. So the first month, it's the little tiny balanced deodorant, which is awesome. I used it when I was skiing last weekend, and my husband accidentally put it all over his face. The sunscreen looks very similar. So I walk in and he's like washing his face in the middle of like, we came in for lunch, and it's like, yeah, I just put balanced deodorant all over my face. So I recommend armpits for this one, but I don't know, maybe it might make a good sunscreen. I don't know. It is kind of white, but I've done month 1 of this, and then I switched to the immune kits. So I haven't gotten all the way through this, but all of these oils are awesome. And what I love is it comes with specific instructions on how to use them, when to use them. And it can just really help you to just establish a routine with your oils. And then for people that are new to oils, my favorite kit for emotions is the Healthy Essentials Enrollment Kit, because it has balance, it has adaptive, it's got peppermint, copaiba, On Guard. All of these oils have emotional benefits as well. So that's something to look at. And if you haven't gotten started and this sounds good to you, there's a URL at the bottom of this. You can take a screenshot and type that in later. Or I'm always here for people. If this doesn't seem right and you want to talk other options, there's thousands of different combinations of oils you could start with. So I'd love to talk to you about that. So our next class is going to be Tuesday, April 6th. So these are the first Tuesday of the month. I didn't put the time on here. I just realized, but they're always at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And we're going to talk about allergies. So In a nutshell, try ease, which is lemon, lavender, and peppermint, and breathe can change your life with allergies. But I have a lot more to tell you as well. But I didn't want to mention allergies and then have people suffer for a month if I could help anything. So Tuesday, April 6th, if that sounds like something you want to learn about, would love for you to show up. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the chat. I get so busy preparing for these that I forget to think through like a question for us to go over for a winner. And I like it to be a little bit of quiz to see how you're paying attention. So everyone know where the chat is. Oh, it looks like we have a couple people. Oh, Shelby's saying we just moved to South Dakota. Yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit different there. So I'm going to say hi in the chat so you guys can find it if you haven't found it. It probably just popped up at some level. But the first person to type in one of the mood matrix oils there's 4. So any of the 4, someone type in one of those and you're going to win a bottle of On Guard. So Brittany, awesome, balance. You were first, and that was a direct message. So if that didn't show up to everyone else, she sent it to me, not to everyone. So you didn't see that one. But Brittany, I will be in touch and get you this On Guard. And hopefully this was helpful. Again, I know that, it's totally fine. I've done Brittany saying oops, but it's fine. It went right to me. I saw it. Again, emotions are so big right now, and there is so many different things. And I just, maybe you guys can you can open up your audio, you can hop on camera if you want to, or just in the chat. Yeah, I can see yours too, Edith. It's there. But just in the chat, maybe just mention an oil that helps you with emotions. Is there something that I haven't mentioned? What are your biggest ones that help? So Brittany's saying elevation, Edith's saying serenity, Shelby, adaptive has been great, and we like citrus bliss. So good, these are all oils that I've mentioned. Liz is saying I use tea tree on the top of my head for meditation. Interesting. I'll have to just write, do you put it in your hair? I was at a talk and this woman it was actually the woman who wrote, if you've seen the book, Essential Oils for Hormones, what is her name? Dr. Maritza Schneider. It was a talk that she was doing. And she said a drop of tea tree on your wrist will cut through any negative mood. And I don't know, I think my negative moods might be a little more intense than hers, but it's definitely worth a try. So it's really helpful. Yeah, and Edith wrote elevation. Yeah, so Edith, yours was at the top to everyone, but Brittany did a direct message to me that was actually above that I can see. So very close. So thank you guys for being on. I really appreciate you guys hopping on live. And I know a lot of people were going to check out the recording. So if you're watching the recording, thank you for sticking through to the end. And again, I'm here for you guys. Please always, I hope I didn't just forgot I had a microphone on and I'm trying to put my hand over my heart. But I'm always here for you guys. If you ever have questions about your oils, want more support, do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. I love to talk oils. I feel like it's my life's work. I'm passionate about it. Love to talk to anyone about oils. So I'm here for you guys and wishing you guys a joyous March, and we'll talk soon. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.